It's March 2nd meeting of the Thompson Planning Board. Patty, you want to do the roll?
Okay. I already heard that Don Span is absent. Ronald Bisson, absent. Larry Bland.
Present.
Dan Flagg.
Present.
Scott Libby.
Present.
Joshua Spooner.
Here.
Thank you, Joshua. Just a note. Okay, we have Don Span, Ronald Bisson, absent.
All right, the first order of business is approval of the minutes from the February 16th meeting. Does anyone have any comments on those minutes? Hey, Dan?
Yeah, I just have a few.
Okay.
Okay. So Patty, on page 2, the end of the continuation of the first paragraph, last sentence, I think we should strike this sentence. A problem was reported on the Flagg property. An investigation revealed the problem was caused by a split in the water line. That wasn't related to any event that occurred in 2020 as part of the overall. It was really a historical story that Mr. Morgan presented. So I don't know if it's really applicable for the record.
Okay.
And then moving down on the same page, let's see, 1, 2, 3, the fourth paragraph down. Board member Flagg asked where the blasting was going to occur. He said lot 6, and I would add and lot 34-D is the active quarry.
34-D?
Yep.
Thank
you. And then in that same paragraph, I would just reword the sentence. Mr. Flagg inquired about the blasting event in April 2020 when the DEP air blast pressure standard was exceeded. And I'll send this to you, Patty. I'm just going to read it.
Oh, good. Thank you.
In the process, and what was the process for follow-up and mitigation with DEP is just to provide a little bit more clarification to what I said there. That's it.
Larry, did you have any, or Josh?
I just have a question for what Dan was just saying about the lots. Does that change? Are you saying the part of the lot for the active quarry? Does that change what we approved or not approved?
No,
I'm not sure. What does the 34-D mean? Because I think we pretty much clarified that it was lot 6 and not.
That's
lot
correct.
6
But I had stated the actual active quarry includes lot 6 and 34-D. They're currently blasting. They're blasting on lot 6.
Okay.
And they confirmed they're going to continue blasting on lot 6.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
so
it doesn't change the motion because the motion and that we ratified was for lot 6. So
yeah, that's correct. Yeah, that's correct. There's no change there. I just think I tried to clarify that the active quarry was the combination of lot 6 and 34-D, but they're currently just blasting on lot 6.
So Scott, leave the motion exactly like it was, like it is.
Yeah. Don't touch the motion. It's just from Dan's comments.
Okay, great. Thank you.
I'm all set then.
Okay. Josh, you all set?
I am all set.
Okay. I had a comment on page 4 on Mr. Peter Weir's comment. It talks about on the third line down in his comment, it says it will be constructed as a roundabout to meet with King Road. I don't think there's a roundabout. The new Hackensack Road will just continue, it ends, but then it becomes the existing King Road.
So how do you want me to word it? I listened and I wrote what you said, but.
Yeah, just say, and it will transition to gravel road to meet existing King Road. All right, do we have a motion?
I move that we adopt the so-called second draft of the minutes with those corrections as put forth by member Dan Flagg and Vice Chair Scott Libby.
And do we have a second? Looked like Dan seconded it.
He did.
Okay. And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Show unanimous. All right, so we'll move on to the next item on the agenda, public hearing for a conditional use permit for Peter Harrington of Neptune Marine LLC, who has proposed to relocate his medical device company to 610 Augusta Road, tax map R07, lot 2. Rod, did you want to say something first, or we move on to Peter?
Yeah, so let me just say there is a registered attendee. If the attendee wants to ask a question, please raise your hand on the Zoom function, and we will promote you to speak. In regards to the application, Glenn Harrington is here, who submitted the application. Andrew DC staff wrote the review memo for you folks. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. I'd turn it over to Glenn to present what he's applying for.
All right, Mr. Harrington, you have the floor.
All right. Hi. Nice to meet you all. I'm Peter Glenn Harrington. I go by Glenn. I think I documented everything in the application, but the 3-minute, 30,000 foot elevation tour is that I currently run and own a partial owner of a medical device company that specializes in the treatment of brain aneurysms, the surgical treatment of brain aneurysms, currently located in Greenland, New Hampshire. My wife and I just purchased the 610 Augusta Road property in October. And our hope is to utilize the existing commercial building that is there that used to house the Riverview Martial Arts Studio to move my business up to that facility. And then the long-term goal, if we can ever find a builder that's free, is to build a small home on the property as well. I only have 3 employees currently, including myself. 1 office-based, myself office-based, and then I have a sales manager based in Missouri. So we're a very tiny, highly specialized company. So that's kind of it in a nutshell, but I'll throw it back to you if you have any more specific questions.
All right. Yeah, when I first looked at it, it was like the medical device manufacturing. It was like, okay, what's going on with the manufacturing part of it? But I see that's all taking place in Germany at another facility. You're primarily sales, marketing, distribution.
That's correct. That's correct.
And it sounds like between the limited number of employees and a FedEx truck showing up at your business less than they show up at my house nowadays.
Yeah.
There's not much traffic in and out of there compared to the karate studio that used to be on campus there. I see Ron is joining us now. So Patty, please note that Ron is in attendance. And just open it up to the rest of the board if anyone has any questions for Glenn. Sorry, I said Peter earlier.
That's okay.
I can go through the list. Larry, do you have any questions? You're muted. There we go.
No, I'm not. I don't really have any overwhelming questions, Glenn, but I just see that the deed of the property was going to Neptune Marine US LLC. Just idle curiosity, what does that have to do with brain aneurysms and surgical equipment?
It's a great question. Absolutely nothing. Neptune Marine was an LLC that I had formed. My prior career was merchant marines and commercial diver. So I had Neptune Marine many, many years ago. I reformed it in the state of Maine just recently to put the building under Neptune Marine, because my plan is to just lease it back to Peter Lozic, which I'm a minority owner of. So it's strictly on advice of real estate attorneys, just to pass rent through a building to Neptune Marine.
Yeah, that's what I kind of figured was,
Yeah.
When I saw various attorneys involved in that. So.
Yeah. But I'm the only person of Neptune Marine, so, for what it's worth.
Yeah. I have nothing else.
All right, Josh?
Yeah, I didn't have any comments or questions either. I thought Andrew's memo did a good job explaining how the use complies with our standards. And I thought you, Scott, did a nice job summarizing the impact relative to each of our homes in terms of traffic. So I don't have any concerns and no issues.
All right. Dan, do you have any questions?
No concerns or issues. I mean, I think, the memo is pretty clear. I think it's certainly fits the rural entrepreneurial land use. So no concerns on my part.
All right. Ron?
Nope, everything looks good. I just got done reading the thing there, so.
All right. Well, it is a public hearing, so I don't know if we have any attendees wanting to speak, Rod, but if there are, public hearing is now open.
We do have one attendee, but they are not raising their hands, so.
All right. I guess the public hearing is now closed. If anyone else on the board has any other questions, feel free to bring them up, or if anyone is ready to make a motion. Larry, you're muted again, but you look like you were making a motion.
Why I keep putting you on mute, I don't know, Scott. You're the one who said you're going to be having to be reminded of that a lot tonight. Now it's me.
Yeah, I'm just leaving it on until my dogs start barking.
Okay. I think you jinxed me. But anyway, I move to approve the application for conditional use approval for rural entrepreneurial use at 610 Augusta Road, tax map R07, lot 002, in accordance with the analysis presented in the staff memo dated February 25, 2021, and application materials and plans provided by the applicant and reviewed by the board.
And do we have a second?
Second.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. Any more comments? All right, all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? The vote is unanimous, Patty. Good luck with the endeavor, Glenn, and good luck with finding a builder to build a place out there. It's a beautiful lot out there. So
Yeah, it is.
I was excited to see that you've already been talking to the Brunswick Topsham Land Trust, because
We have. Yeah, we have.
abutting
We
the
wanna-
other conservation
keep it
lands in the Catans River. It's gorgeous.
Yeah, we actually, that's kind of one of our primary goals, aside from living and working there, is we really actually want to protect the land as well. So we're excited about it. Thank you.
Great to hear. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks for your help, everyone.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Glenn, you'll be hearing from the planning office.
Okay, thank
All
you.
right, take care.
All right, awesome.
All right, so now we'll move on to the next agenda item, a sketch plan for the Feldspar Ridge LLC. Topsham Mobile Home Park is submitted and proposed expansion at Andrea Street and Corey Lane, tax map R05, lot 34. Rod, did you want
Well,
kick us off,
everybody should have received a memo. I guess one thing I didn't state in the memo was this applicant has been before you before last year with the zone change that you guys shepherded through the town meeting process, so you're fairly familiar with the site from that regard. So hopefully you've looked through all the materials and you can have a discussion with the applicant. I'll turn it over to Jimmy.
All right. Thank you, everyone. I'm Jim Corbin with Survey Works, Inc., and I'm here with the applicant and landowner, Andy Maynard of Feldspar Ridge, LLC. And if I may, I'd like to share my screen.
You're all set, so go for it.
Okay. So Andy would like to expand this parcel, not expand the parcel, but expand the existing mobile home adjacent to this parcel within this one. This parcel is part of an 82-acre parcel, which in itself is part of a larger parcel that extends to the highway, all under the same name of Feldspar Ridge LLC. This parcel to be developed is, I think the total parcel is 140 acres. What was zoned last year and what we are considering to develop is 82 acres. The goal is to expand the park by 100 units to meet needs that have been determined. And our concept is based on the town of Topsham's mobile home park standards for siting of lots. In the standards, all lots in this particular one, in this configuration, all lots will be served by local shared septic systems. Those sites we have not determined yet. That will be determined this spring. But each lot has 80 feet of frontage on a private road built to the chapter's mobile home standards, and 12,000 square feet minimum of area. No roads will be greater in length than 2,000 feet from one end or an intersection to another end or intersection. And today we're just like to really present what the site looks like, where it's located within the town and the community, and the challenges and opportunities that are posed by this project in this lot. So as you can see here, the lot is tucked to the north of Route 196 and to the west of the highway, just above the existing Thompson Mobile Home Park. The lot itself is a forested parcel that has been cut over the years several times over the last 100 or so years. Is this doubled? So here's our site analysis plan that shows some of the challenges on the site. The main challenge, of course, being the wetlands. There are many forested wetlands that are scattered throughout the site. And these were delineated in 2008. And one significant vernal pool was determined during that survey as well on the south-central end of the property, highlighted in blue here. To the northeast is also a ledge ridge of Feldspar. The rest of the site is pretty rolling to level ground with a gentle slope from east to west. Aside from the subdivision, the mobile home park to the south, the only adjacent subdivision is over here. Under my legend is the owner. That one is the
By George Krause.
yeah, George Krause is the owner. This was subdivided, I'd say less than 10 years ago.
That's Center Park Drive for folks that. Center
What's
Park
the
Drive
name
is
of the
that
street,
commercial.
Rod?
Center Park.
Center Park. Okay. We were trying to figure that out the other day. The rest of the abutters are vacant parcels, particularly to the north here. That's somewhat landlocked. I know this parcel to the north, just under my notes, is a landlocked parcel, locked by the transmission line here, and another parcel, wooded parcel to the northwest. So here's what we propose. Again, being the wetlands being our largest challenge here, our concept seeks to minimize impacts to those wetlands by extending the roads and corridors in and around the upland areas between the wetlands. To allow for better circulation of these roads, there's a lot of interconnectivity between themselves and the two existing private ways, which are the main arteries to the parcel, being Andrea Street and Corey Lane. Both of these roads extend to the main highway, 196. In this concept, we have 130 lots. You can imagine that several of these lots would become used for septic once we determine which areas are appropriate for that. Though we do propose some development within the Feldspar Ridge here, that's still under consideration by us and the developer. That we might find that this is suitable material for building these roads, and therefore, once it's been hacked into, will can be leveled to produce some extra lots. Again, per the mobile home standards, we're providing a 50-foot buffer between this parcel and all residential parcels, that being to the northwest and the northeast. This should actually extend down right now between this would be the new property line here on the east side.
That's business park on the other side. Business zone.
And correct, so this line here denotes the zone change between the mobile home overlay district and the commercial district.
Yes.
To the south, running along the southerly boundary line between the existing park and what's proposed, is another smaller CMP corridor. It's a line and pole easement running along here. That existing vernal pool has been affected by this easement or right of way here for the poles, or excuse me, easement, not right of way. But this pole easement is ancient. I think this goes back to, yeah, probably the 30s. Where we could, we extended roads to the abutting parcels, not through them, but just to the property line. That's per code, and was easy enough to do with this concept. And that was done at 4 different locations: 1, 2, 3, and 4. Bear with me for a moment. I want to zoom up to my summary where I had some density calcs done. And I'm not finding where I had that all in here. But let me go back to the plan, I guess. So again, there's about 83 acres total. Total wetland impact shown right now is 1.9 acres. I think we can tighten that up considerably too, by providing some buffer areas around these wetlands, and into some of these lots, to the areas of the lots that don't need to be developed. Our goal is to get that under 1 acre. That might be a bit of a challenge, but I think we can get close. Total centerline length is about 10,000 linear feet. Proposed are again the 130 lots, and leaving total open space of 37.7 acres. That number should go down to, that's not counting some of the buffer areas, but I did have some questions regarding those buffers for today. But before that, Rod, if anyone has any questions, we're here to answer them.
All right, well, thank you for presenting it. And Rod, my understanding is primarily for this kind of pre-application review, the main thing is to kind of gather this information before us and provide some feedback on big picture items. That's the case, right?
Yeah, so this is non-binding, no formal votes being taken by the board. It's really a chance for the applicant to get some guidance from you folks. I was thinking about this. It could be, I think the applicant has supplied you folks with everything needed for this phase of our process. If the board does not feel like that is the case, you could ask them to come back, but you'd want to clarify what information you're not seeing tonight, what you would need to see at the next round. Okay. So I will, Jimmy, how in depth did you get with state agencies and federal agency permitting? I think that's going to be part of prior to this coming back for preliminary approval.
Yeah. We're trying to stay light on that at the moment, just because we haven't updated the delineation since 2008. That needs to be done, and there's little official work we can do with the agencies without that. And there's a little legwork to do ahead of that too.
So the point I was just making for the board, Jimmy, is that this isn't coming back next week as a full preliminary plan.
Exactly. No, this is not.
Yeah.
And with that reason, if there's any requests for additional information or that you would like us to address, that would not hurt our feelings right now, you will be seeing this again, hopefully in the near future, but not in the next few weeks.
So are you going to have you're going to do a vernal pool assessment and wetland assessment this coming spring, next
Correct.
month or two? Well, you have good timing for that at least,
Yes. Yeah.
Perfect time to do the vernal pools.
Yes.
and certainly seems to be the biggest hurdle. And, you know, it's something I think we didn't discuss in detail when we talked about the ordinance about a year ago, but it clearly was something that we all knew about the property as far as the wetlands in that vernal pool. So, you know, one question I had before going to the rest of the board, and this is for you, Rod, is what, you know, Jim mentioned the kind of roads to the edges of the property for connectivity. And, you know, looking at the various, you know, the plan that was put forth as a kind of, you know, seeing what the layout might be. I did go back to look at kind of the sketch that was thrown that we saw about a year ago, just, you know, not to say that it was a plan, but it kind of laid things out then too. These are private roads. So as far as the ordinance that we have for roads that can become public, that's not in play here, right, Rod?
Well, I mean, that, you know, ultimately will be proposed by the applicant, Scott, but
Okay.
I think the board at this point can tip their hat to what they would like to see in that regard.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
if I'm understanding what you're asking correctly.
Yeah, I just try with seeing this layout and that kind of quasi layout with about 100 sites. I think the first time we saw kind of the concept plan that Anthony brought before us. You know, I don't know all the ins and outs with with the Army Corps and Maine DEP associated with the vernal pool and the wetlands, but you know, the reason I brought it up was, you know, if there wasn't development at the vernal pool where there's maybe, I don't know, 15 sites there, you know, you kind of have a large area there with the vernal pool and those wetlands to the northeast of it. You know, you wouldn't have the connectivity between those two roads except for that emergency drive that's shown here. I don't know if that's a way to minimize, just a suggestion for minimizing potential impacts on wetlands. As Jim was mentioning, they were trying to get that 1.9 or 8 acres down a bit to help with the wetland impact issues. That's more of just a comment, not a real question. I don't know. But I'll open it up to the board. If right now all I see on my screen are Dan and Larry. So I'll start with you, Dan.
All right. So just I have a few comments. You know, obviously there's quite a few units here. They're small lots, but you know, I think you said over 100 or so, 100 to 120. I think what's not really shown here is obviously this is a big enough project. Stormwater is going to be a big impact, I would say, in terms of, you know, fine tuning how much can be developed, what the stormwater treatment strategy is, you know, buffers, stormwater ponds, that sort of thing. You know, given the wetlands, I think that's certainly an important issue to talk with DEP early on in the process. I would also kind of encourage you to really look at trying to minimize impacts to that vernal pool. Try to maximize as much green space as you can. I think from what I understand, you know, there is a lot of hydric soils out there, so wastewater disposal is a concern. It sounds like you guys are doing your due diligence on that. There is a lot of units out there in soils that are not ideal for subsurface disposal, and so that's the other issue. And then obviously the potable water supply. I think the existing mobile home park is a public water system. Is that correct?
That's no, it's private.
It's private, but it is a public water system, right?
Yes, no, it's a private well, but we hold a public small water operating systems license.
Correct.
Correct.
So is the intent to use that existing system and extend it to this, or drill new wells? Or?
Well, it'd probably be a new shared system. We, prior to a completed application, will have a letter from a well driller and or a geologist if needed, but likely just a well driller that they expect to find suitable volume of potable water to service the units. And if that, from information provided by the well driller, turns out to be a concern, we will address it and let the board know what we found out with regards to that as well. Just to forewarn the board, the town does have site plan and site plan review and stormwater review delegated to the town and the board. So a lot of that will be before the board and just a cursory review by DEP. With regards to the vernal pools, again, that being one of the major challenges to this parcel, we may be looking to implement the special areas management program for vernal pools that the town has developed with state and federal regulators with regards to development in desired areas that are that impede upon these vernal pools, and providing a fee in lieu to develop that area so that other vernal pools within the community in areas that are deemed more special can be preserved. We're in talks with those players within the SAMP program. This may be the first done on the East Coast altogether. And it's very interesting idea. And it's intriguing in some ways and scary in others. So we're treading lightly into those waters right now, but that might be something we talk about also in the near future. And that will dictate this concept as well.
I'll quickly follow up on we have not engaged Tom Saucier yet at pre-app. So the project, when it is looking to move forward through the process, one of those first steps will be to engage the town's peer review for site location of development and stormwater review, so that Tom would sit down with the applicant and step through exactly what needs to be submitted and the timeframes and processes involved with all of those permits.
Who's Tom, Rod?
Tom Saucier is our peer review engineer. Yeah, you haven't met him yet because we'll set up an escrow account for the applicant to pay the peer review fees that are associated with that review process. And Andy, so you know, you're going to be saving a lot of money here versus going to DEP for that, even though you're going to be spending a lot of money.
All right, Dan, did you have any other comments?
I would just say, next step, focus on some of these constraints that may drive, wetland impacts and the number of units you can develop. Sounds like, really get your hands around the updated wetland survey, understand what the stormwater strategy is going to be, and wastewater and water service. I think those are kind of the key items that are going to kind of drive how many units you can put in here.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Dan. Larry, you're next on the column of pictures.
Dan, I think pretty much took my thunder, because those were primarily my concerns also with regard to, where is the sewage treatment aspect of this going to be and how, given what the soils appear to be anyway, but I'm no expert on those. But yeah, that's the type of stuff I would like to see also.
We suspect that the most suitable soils and location for these shared systems will be to the west end of the property.
Yeah, that's
Or-
almost what it looks like. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think the best soils we'll find are in the upland areas of this region and maybe up in this area too. But we'll be looking all over.
Yeah, I saw your soils map there
Yeah.
when I was reviewing it. So that's kind of where I figured you probably were going to be, but somewhere in there anyway.
Right.
I lost my version on my computer here. So
Yeah, and I'm not a soils guy, so this is all Greek to me right here. But we have a couple guys in house that they anticipate finding areas that will be suitable for this.
yeah. I'm all set, Scott, for the right now.
Yeah, and just, obviously picking up on the wastewater, I did notice when looking back at the zoning discussion we had a year ago that, the sewer district had some concerns about, subsurface wastewater for the scale of this proposal. So I don't know that they would technically be weighing in on this since it would not be hooked up to their system, but it's certainly something that the town and folks are well aware of. All right, Ron, you're next. Do you have any questions, comments?
Basically, no, I guess everybody's covered everything. It does look like a good concept. And I think that they got enough stuff to go with right now to get out and get things done and come back to us.
All right, thank you, Ron. Josh, did you have anything to weigh in on?
No, nothing beyond what everyone else has already raised. And I would say most of the issues that have been raised are issues that the applicant is probably well aware it has to deal with long before it gets to us regular planning board members. But as long as all of those concerns are addressed, then conceptually, I don't have any concerns. The connectivity, I suppose, is something that, the applicants have raised, but that the other board members have raised, but the applicant's aware of. So I'd want to make sure that that's not an issue. But generally speaking, I think everyone's covered everything. I don't have any additional comments that would be helpful.
Great, thanks, Josh.
If I may, Scott, if you don't mind, I'd like to ask the board if they could speak to those concerns about connectivity. If I am addressing those right now, if there's something that I need to do before the next presentation to help address those concerns. And then my second question is, there's nothing specific within the regs, the state that we can't do this, but would there be any objections to creating no disturbance areas within the mobile home lots themselves to further protect these wetlands? For example, I don't know if you can see my cursor right now. Let me see if I can change it. A little hand right here. If we did like a 30-foot no disturbance buffer on the right, on the east side of these lots right here, that's less wetland impact that we would have to anticipate. Same idea with maybe the lots in this area here, as well as lots up in these areas.
So Jimmy, just on that, the town doesn't issue wetland permits. That's going to be something you deal with DEP.
Well, it's not really a wetland question. It's more of, I guess most of the time where the buffers are being proposed by the board and we are reluctant to accept those buffers at some times for density reasons or whatnot. I'd like to go the other way, just because I feel obligated to show wetland impacts within building windows.
Yeah.
But if we could show that we are closing that building window to a smaller area, which still allows for these units to exist and for there to be parking in yard, but maybe a portion of that yard is forested buffer.
I would, so my guidance to the planning board on that, the town really, whenever we get into per lot deed restriction or buffer areas that are then enforced by the town, it typically does not work well because we do not have the capacity to do this for every subdivision that we pass. So my guidance to the board is to really not entertain the dropping the enforcement onto the one code enforcement person that we have to monitor the impacts to each lot over time here. And especially, 20 years down the road, it's really becomes even more difficult.
What if we we don't call, we don't show buffers, but we show smaller building windows within the 12,000 square foot lots?
Yeah, I mean, there's perhaps ways to do that to minimize what you're showing for an impact.
Okay.
Again, we do not really what we rely on and condition with every subdivision that we approve is that you're getting your necessary state permits based on what we're approving at the local level.
Mm-hmm.
So prior to you construction, and we make sure that all those permits are in hand. One thing that didn't come up aside from other state permits, this is teetering perhaps on a traffic movement permit based on how many lots that are actually going to get approved here. I was thinking Bruce Van Note may have been here tonight. He could have probably understood this better than any of us, what the traffic impact is, but the traffic impact for single family homes is usually a 1-to-1 ratio with each house. I'm not sure that's true in the ITE, the engineering manual for traffic with mobile home parks. I think it's a bit of a different calculation. So that should be something that's forthcoming, at least as a cursory review in that regard for the traffic.
Rod, is that something we could request from staff prior to our next meeting?
Well, Jimmy, that's ITE. That's something that you'll dig up as an engineer.
Okay, but
I will assist you in finding that data, but I don't have an engineering license to actually be the one to provide that.
No, that's fine. But so if we are meeting those standards, I wouldn't expect that would be then a request from the board in the future. So long as we can show that we're meeting those standards.
Well, so the board can discuss this. Actually, there's two ways to go about for the board to understand the traffic impact. And one would be an analysis. The other would be to just rely on the standard manual, which, again, I was talking about Bruce being here because he's seen this a million times and would understand what level of analysis would be needed for the site better than I would.
And then getting back to circulation here, were there concerns regarding movement within this park?
I would say that as far as the connectivity and movement, you have the two entrances, two exits. I think that must, be something that the fire chief and police chief would require. And, you know, one suggestion is, you know, you've got on your drawing, at least, you've got a couple of your roads heading right over towards that Center Park property. You know, I don't know how much of the discussion you've had with them, but I mean, their access road gets pretty close to some of that. I don't know if their plans are to build out.
Yeah, I had considered that earlier on, but unfortunately, that the one area that is that would make sense for that is where that has been developed. There's a building right there. So we'd have to construct a road through an existing lot, developed lot within that subdivision, which may be tough to do.
Yeah. And back to, you know, the traffic question that Rod mentioned, it certainly will come up, and it'll come up, you know, in the various meetings as far as it's always a topic for public comment on things, especially on 196. I mean, it's near capacity, and I know there's, you know, always talk about changes on that road, but you know, as far as having a good presentation of the traffic impacts or lack thereof will be something that we'll look forward to seeing down the road. I don't know if anyone else had feedback on as far as the connectivity. Please bring it up. I think the non-disturbance areas, I'm going to have to brush up on that, but Rod, I'm going to run with your description on that one.
Well, no, and just for Jimmy and Andy's, I think I'll follow up with Bruce to see if he has any comments. He didn't make the meeting, but I think prior to you guys drawing up a preliminary and understanding what the traffic would be good to get a comment from Bruce.
I just have a couple comments.
Oh, go ahead, Dan.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I agree with Scott. I think some sort of traffic analysis, probably above and beyond what's in the manual, is probably going to be warranted just because of the impact to get the existing mobile home park roads, connectivity to 196 and so forth. But again, you know, Bruce may have some input on that. The other, I notice to the left of the page here is kind of cut off, but I think it's that common line. Is that the business park or the industrial area?
Yes, right here.
Okay.
In fact, the business park ends about in this area here.
Oh yeah, okay. So I guess does there need to be like a setback buffer along that line?
Not to the commercial zone, only to the residential zone.
All right. That's
in fact, there's already an existing 50-foot buffer to this because we are a residential zone. This Center Park subdivision has already a 50-foot buffer running along this property line.
Okay.
I was muted, sorry. Larry, you're up.
Yes. Okay. Thank you, Scott. Are any of these existing roads? I thought I saw something. I was reading on. Maybe I did not. Town maintained currently, or is it all privately maintained? Or what is in the existing mobile home park?
Rod, do you mind answering that one for us? Sorry.
Yeah, it's my understanding, and I'm not going to remember the names of the roads here, but Andrea is publicly maintained, I believe, Andy, but
Yes, it is.
in there. And, and same with Corey.
No,
Not
it's
Corey.
privately maintained.
Okay.
Yep.
I think there's 2 streets out there that are publicly maintained.
There's roughly 2.5 streets. Andrea Street, Bryan Street, which comes off 196, which connects to Maynard.
Okay.
And then the portion of Maynard that goes down over the hill to Andrea.
Okay.
And I think that came about when some of the land house lots were sold off. They decided to make whatever was sold off public.
Right, so that's one of the things that's, we were chatting about this at the staff level. There are a couple private lots that access these using the public roads that are there. I think this happened in the 60s, Andy. I went downstairs and looked at some deeds and
Yeah.
pretty confusing, but
Yeah,
nonetheless, the town accepted roads in this area.
And everything in the proposed area is proposed to be privately maintained, or is that still up in the air?
Anything else that's not publicly maintained is a private way that's privately maintained. And will remain so for this new park.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, Josh or Ron, did you have any other input?
No, I'm all set.
I'm all set as well.
All right. And Jim, did you guys have any other questions you wanted to get feedback on?
No, I think that does it. I apologize for the brevity of this. We are so early into planning this, but I did want to get it before you guys, earlier than later, to get your input. There was some good feedback today. Definitely will get you a traffic study to help answer those questions. And yeah, we definitely have our work cut out for us with trying to satisfy the various agency regs. That don't be surprised if what you see next is a completely different concept. However, the general idea is here. We are trying to avoid these wetlands, and this is what it looks like when we attempt to do so. And again, it's a mobile home park that's meeting it will be a mobile home park that meets the town's standards for siting of such a park. Thank you again. And both Andy and I are here if anyone has any epiphanies between now and the next time you see us. Hope to see you soon.
All right. Well, yeah, I mean, no apologies needed for any brevity on this. I think your pre-application was pretty complete as far as what we've seen for pre-applications for subdivisions. I mean, there's
thank
a
you.
lot of information there. I know you're probably saying it because you've got a lot of hurdles left to get over before the next stage. But good luck with the delineation surveys in the coming month and dealing with Army Corps and DEP to figure out the SAMP and the wetlands issues, because obviously all the rest of the design, whether it be the layout or the wastewater, the stormwater, everything kind of flows from that. Sorry for the pun, but it does. So good luck with that. I think unless there is an objection from the board, I think we've basically said this meets the need for the pre-application step. Correct? Anyone disagree with me? We don't need a formal vote, so since I'm not hearing anything.
Nope.
I agree with you.
All right. And Rod, before I entertain a motion to adjourn, we had a workshop listed, but are we actually doing a workshop?
I
didn't see anything come from.
The only one would be the what at the last meeting you said was ready for public hearing. I just was gonna bring that back and make sure that it was ready for public hearing. But that would be the waiver standard one. The other items may not be getting on to town meeting just time-wise.
But as far as the waiver standards, we haven't really seen anything. So I guess we won't do the workshop. And we haven't seen
Oh.
the final product.
Did you folks not get the email from Andrew?
I didn't see anything.
Okay.
No,
we
and,
didn't post-
and it came off the agenda. The workshop came off the agenda.
Oh,
Oh, did
Most
it? My
recent
last
one.
one still had it, but
Yeah.
someone's not telling me something in the plan.
The one I looked, the one I
I
looked at
apologize.
today didn't have it, Scott.
okay.
Scott, why don't we just wait for, I mean, there's no time crunch here for us
Yeah.
to do that. I'll email it tomorrow, the waiver standards.
Okay.
But it's in a public hearing format right now. What I would say with that is let's get the edits and then I can advertise it for a public hearing, and if it's ready to go, it's ready to go.
Okay. All right. Anyone ready for a motion?
No, let's keep this going till 10 o'clock, Scott. I move that we adjourned.
Thank you.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? No discussion on this one. Aye, all right.
Aye.
Thanks.
Thanks again,
And,
everyone.
Thanks, Jim and
Thank
Andy
you.
for your presentation too. Good luck.
Thank you.